Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If you've been listening for a while, you will know that I am an angelic practitioner and a spiritual teacher and an encourager of souls. I think one of the most beautiful, well, there's many beautiful things about getting to have your own business, but I will say one of the things that just is so delightful is that you get to make up your own job title. Like there's no one patrolling this, and so I have decided that I'm an encourager of souls. And every time I say that, I am so happy. So I invite you to make sure you have given yourself a dazzling job title, even if you're the only one who knows what it is. And what, might you ask, does an encourager of souls do? Well, I'm so happy you asked. I offer angel sessions, which are beautiful. I also offer a longer form of support, soul mentoring, and then a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. So about my classes is I typically offer something new every 6 weeks or so. I never know what it's going to be. It always changes up a little bit. My classes are almost always very small in size though, so about 6 to 8 people. So you get a lot of attention, a lot of opportunity to really connect, both with me and the other people in the class. They happen over Zoom. And they're a lovely way to infuse some more light and support and connectivity into your life. And you can learn more at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can sign up for my mailing list. But for now, the angels and I are here to co-create a sweet and soothing, light-filled oasis for you, where you can rest and replenish and maybe even drift off to sleep. You see, I created this podcast because of my long time love of sleep podcasts. I listen to one every night, and I was guided to make my own. And of course, because it's me and illuminating souls, I had to weave the angels into it. So each episode runs about an hour long, and that's because that's my preference as a listener. And so the first 15 to 20 minutes, we usually explore some sort of spiritual conversation. I call the angels in. And then the second part of each episode is Storytime, where I might share with you some rambles, some stories from my own life, or read to you from something in the public domain, or flip through an old magazine. Something to keep you company. This is not a podcast where you have to pay attention. You don't have to be riveted. You don't have to do any deep thinking. Think of me as a sweet, friendly voice. And I get to keep you company as you go about your day or you drift off to sleep. And I hope that you find comfort in our time together. So I invite you to take a couple nice deep breaths in and out as we connect with the beautiful, loving presence of the angels that's already here with us. I so appreciate the love of the angels, the amplification that they bring to our connection, our innate connection with divine love. And I love that this love is here for us all the time, no matter what. Whether we think it's here, whether we think we're worthy of it, like our beliefs around it doesn't matter. The love is still here. It's like you can sit in a dark room and say the sun doesn't exist, but the sun exists. It's there. Crack open a window. And that's my perception of divine love. It's here. We just sometimes perceive that we are separate from it. And I guess part of my soul's mission in this lifetime is to help others recognize that we never are separated from it except for our own perceptions. So take a deep breath in. And just for the next little while, hopefully forever, but even if it's just for the next few minutes, allow yourself to imagine that this beautiful angelic love that has loved you since before you were born, that knows the truth of your spirit, is here with you now. And even as I say these words, I feel the energy around us starting to shift. And so I'm going to take a nice breath with you, because I too love receiving this beautiful, expansive energy. And right now I'm feeling it at the top of my head. It feels almost like little tingles, like a really light scalp massage almost. And you might not feel it this way. Each of us is different. But in this moment, I feel the compassionate, wise, understanding love from the angels who are utterly aware of all that is transpiring in the world, all that is transpiring in your heart and in mine. And they are here right now to comfort and soothe and replenish our hearts, our sweet, beautiful hearts that love and feel so deeply. So just breathe with me and release whatever you are guided to release. Just release it. And I am going to call in the angels. They are already here. But I love sharing the ritual of this moment with you so that you know they are here too. So beautiful angels on high, I ask that you join us here and that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love, waves of healing and understanding in service to each of our beloveds here on the planet. To all who are listening, whether they listen now or listen years in the future. And ripple this love to all they love, to all they carry in their hearts. And dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in and out. And just now, I can feel and sense the angels seeking to help to clear and balance our energy fields through the heart of God. They're doing some work on our shoulders. There's a lot of light right now coming into our heart chakras and our lungs. Just breathe in and make space for the breath the best you can. Just breathing into your heart the light of your angels. And they're also doing some work on your back, especially the center of your back, helping to clear the tightness. There's a beautiful column of light coming in through your crown chakra that's at the top of your head and flowing down through your spinal column, all the way down through the bottom of your feet. And this column of light, it's like a river of light that is helping to balance and replenish your light body, your energy field, helping to fill you more with divine source energy. And just breathe and receive. And right now the angels are showing me that they're really working that space in your torso, that place like right beneath your ribs. You know, it's sometimes tight there, right in the belly. And they're bringing some extra healing to this part of your physical and energetic body. Thank you for receiving, the angels say. You are a blessing here on earth. You are precious in this world. The angels say thank you for receiving this love. Because as you receive this love has an opportunity to be more present in the physical world. And just breathe. There's something they often will say at Agape Spiritual Center, and that is that you are one of the ways that God's love is made visible on the planet. It's a really powerful concept. You see, when a prayer moves through you, when love moves through you, when you receive the love of the angels, this divine energy moves through the instrument of you that is present here in physical world reality. And so it becomes more available in this realm. That yes, the angels can and do shine love and prayers upon this planet. But it takes on a different resonance when it flows through us. So just breathe. Let your lungs receive the air. Let your lungs receive the blessing from the angels in this moment. You are a catalyst for this divine light to become more present in this world. And if you have prayers and intentions that you would like to share with God and the angels, I invite you to bring them into your heart now. And they receive your prayers and intentions, and they amplify them. And they also ask that you open to receive their prayers for you, their prayers with you. Oh, dear one, there is such love here for you right now. what a blessing it is to be with you right now in this moment. As the divine love is amplified because wherever two or more are gathered in the name of the divine, love happens, miracles happen, goodness happens. So here we are in the light in support of you, beautiful, precious, glorious you. And so here's our invitation to you. You go ahead and cozy on up and snuggle on in. Especially if you are getting ready to go to sleep. If you are in your waking hours, well then, we're going to keep you company as you go about your day. So, in whatever context you can receive this light, we invite you to get cozy and do just that. And while you rest and replenish, we are going to segue on into story time, which is once again going to be a rambling conversation. I kind of have a sense on what we're going to talk about, but if you've been listening, then you will know that often I am the recipient of these rambles as well as the threads of my consciousness weave together some sort of cosmic tapestry of a one-sided conversation. But it isn't really one-sided because I know that you are out there and eventually you will listen. And then we'll have a conversation in consciousness together. So you get cozy and I'm going to tell you some stories. So for story time, I'm going to start off by talking about grief. And you might think, oh no, Laurel, wait, that sounds so heavy. Well, grief can be heavy. But I am very cognizant that this is a sleep podcast and I am here to inspire you and comfort you. So my intention is that this can be a conversation about grief that will bring you comfort, maybe a little bit of lightness. And it's not all going to be about grief, but this is just our entryway into this story time adventure we are going on. So, probably no surprise to those of you who listen. The other day I was watching TikTok. TikTok, my portal into escaping the realities of this realm. And there was this gentleman who I had never seen before who was talking about this German word, this German concept that I will likely mispronounce and misrepresent, but this is my synthesis of what he was talking about. It is a German word called Kummerspeck, and it represents the weight gained through comfort eating during a time of grieving. The exact translation of it into English is grief bacon. Doesn't sound nearly as nice as Kummerspeck, so I will now refer to it from this point on as Kummerspeck. Kummerspeck. Oh my God, if any of you speak German and I am mangling this word, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Hopefully I'm doing it justice. But one of the things that I loved about what he was sharing is it is a word that has no negative connotation. There's no judgment about it. So, you might say about a friend, oh, she is Kummerspeck. She just broke up with someone. And then you would go, oh, like it's an understood thing. That's something we go through. And I don't know about you, but I've got some Kummerspeck going on right now. Like, yeah, hello, carbs. Carbs, serotonin boost, comfort. You know what is so fascinating to me? So, I'm not seeking to bring the realities of this awful transit we're in into this podcast, but the morning that the awfulness happened, that's what I'll say. That's all I'll say. The morning that the awfulness started, that morning, before I knew about any of the awfulness, I had shared a series of randoms on Facebook. And one of them was, I don't know why, but I am craving Blue Box mac and cheese right now. I haven't eaten it in years, but I need it right now. And I actually went to the grocery store to buy several boxes, which I wound up never making, but it comforted me that they exist in my house right now. And here's what's even stranger. Several of my friends jumped on the thread and said, that's so weird. I've been craving mac and cheese too. And you know that that pearl of wisdom that is often shared when there are natural disasters, that right before a tsunami, the animals know and they go to higher ground. Well, I think that part of us, that animalistic part of us that is attuned to our surroundings, has evolved to where maybe we don't go to higher ground, but maybe we need mac and cheese. Just my thought. Just my earth girl, Laurel, 5 a.m, rambles about Kummerspeck, or however you say that. I think, oh yeah, like I need all the bread right now. We have 2 different loaves of sourdough. Well, 3. Okay, there's 3 different kinds of bread sitting on my counter right now. It's our counter because I share it with Wes. It's a Taurian thing. I'm a Taurus, and Taurians are notorious for claiming everything is ours. It's my bread. It's really not. I share it with Wes. I have 2 loaves of sliced sourdough bread, the brand that I like, and there's 2 different loaves because if Wes and I both have sandwiches on a day, I can practically wipe out a loaf. So I always have 2. So there's 2. And then one of our local grocery stores, Rayleigh's, has these small loaves of sourdough bread that they make in-house. And the one that I like has rosemary and sea salt. So there's that one. And then, I've shared this with you before, Costco has started making this sourdough-like cinnamon raisin bread. That's incredible. And I have that on our counter as well. And perhaps this will be a little mini ramble about bread in service and honor to my Kummerspeck. I don't know why. This topic just lightens up the whole concept of grief for me. It's like, yep. Okay, wait, I'm going to just circle back to the bread thing in just a second. I don't know how many of you have ever supported someone who is Jewish during a time of grief. So in Judaism, we sit Shiva for 7 days. Now, not everybody sits Shiva for 7 days, but usually there's at least 1 day of Shiva. And what Shiva is all the people who love you and loved your dearly departed loved ones come over, and there's a lot of food. And people bring more food. And I think actually what I will share next is universal, whether you're Italian or Indian or, wherever you live in the world, that when we are grieving, people bring us food. It's a universal human language that translates into, I really don't have the words to tell you how sad I feel about your loss, but have a casserole. And the foods we typically bring are casseroles and carb-heavy, right? I would bring you a kugel. Hi, I'm going to try and find the words to tell you how sad I am for you and how much I'm supporting you. But in the meanwhile, have a kugel. Here's a casserole of egg noodles and cottage cheese and sour cream and sugar and raisins and cinnamon. And I'm really sorry for your loss, but maybe we can just eat sweet noodles together for a little while and watch the clouds go by. So, food is often associated with this concept of grieving. So I love that there's a word for that now. I don't even want to get near a scale right now. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Because there are so many things right now that I am sad about. I do not want to add one more thing to my inventory of things I'm sad about. So I'm just now going to honor that this Kummerspeck theory is in play. And the thing that living 61 years of life as I have has reminded me that if we are blessed and we get to move through this passage, eventually we somehow regroup on the other side of it. So that's my 2 cents on Kummerspeck. Oh, but I promised you a little more about bread. So there's no reason you would know this, but my husband Wes is allergic to walnuts and pecans. So we had become very enchanted with this cinnamon raisin bread from Costco. So I bought it once and we devoured it. It was so good. We bought it a second time. Again, ate the whole loaf. We bought it a third time. This time they changed the recipe a little bit. And there were some sunflower seeds in it and some flax seed. And Wes doesn't like seed in his bread, so he didn't eat much of it. And I thought, oh, okay, well, they changed the recipe. But after that loaf was finished, I still went and bought another loaf. Even though I knew he wasn't as fond of it now, I was like, but still he can eat it. And he wasn't interested. Well, good thing, because it was a completely different kind of bread. They had changed over from cinnamon raisin to cranberry walnut. Now, for most people, that's not a big deal, but this is a big deal for Wes. So the moment I crunched into a walnut, because I was still going to eat the bread, I said to Wes, oh my God, you intuitively knew, because, of course, he's so clairvoyant. You must have known, because there are walnuts all over this bread, and I will not buy it again. So I still ate that loaf of bread, not in one day. I do like one slice a day. One slice with some butter. And if the bread's getting a little stale, I toast it. Toasted bread and butter. If you knew my mom, you would know I am her daughter based on that statement. My mother lived for her bialy. A bialy is sort of a cousin to a bagel with a little bit of peanut butter and jelly on it. Like a toasted bialy with some peanut butter and jelly is heaven on earth. And I am my mother's daughter. So, I have not done peanut butter and jelly on the raisin, cinnamon, or walnut cranberry bread because it just didn't need it. But I did do some butter and some honey. was like, ooh, let's make this a little sweeter. I'm going to put a little bit of honey on it. It was delicious. And this would be the place where I remind you this is a sleep podcast. It's a sleep podcast. And so my bar is very, very low from sharing with you anything that is interesting or a narrative that you can follow. I'm here just to keep you company. So if we were going out for lunch as friends, I might go into a little soliloquy about this bread because it is that good. And then perhaps the next time I saw you, if you are not gluten-free, I might bring you a loaf of this bread as a gift. Because when you find something super delicious, is there anything better than sharing that deliciousness with a friend, right? So I am sending you a perfectly toasted slice of either the cinnamon raisin or cranberry walnut bread, your choice. I can, through the power of magic, make it gluten-free if that is necessary for you. And then you can choose. Do you want a little smear of butter? You want a little honey on that? Or maybe, in service to my mom, Phyllis Bleadon, a little peanut butter and jelly. Your choice. But I'm going to send it to you in service to this process of collectively sitting Shiva for the world right now. Because it is rough out there. And there is something about keeping company with each other right now that is comforting. So that is my little soliloquy on Kummerspeck, I guess, and bread, and the mac and cheese I haven't eaten. Although I have been somewhat obsessed with pizza since all of this happened. Melted cheese with bread. Good. It's a good thing. Yeah, just looking for comfort, and I'm still not eating sugar. But I am getting as close to the edge of sugar as I can without crossing the line. We were in Santa Cruz, that you might know if you listened to the last episode. And I suppose I can tell you about our Santa Cruz trip. But first let me tell you about the food part, right? Because we're in it. There's a really cool store in Santa Cruz called Staff of Life. And it's a great Whole Foods kind of store. But less expensive and more specialized. And so a couple of the things that I'm in love with from Staff of Life is they have a great pastry section. I love a good muffin, but I don't eat them anymore because they're so filled with sugar. And at Staff of Life, they have vegan muffins. I'm not a vegan, but I'm just telling you they're vegan. And instead of being sweetened with white sugar, they're sweetened with beetroot juice, which from a dietary perspective is the same as sugar, but for some reason it doesn't trigger my sugar addiction in the same way a sugar-laden muffin might that I would get at Starbucks. So I'm all about their muffins when we go there. And they also have this delicious rice pudding that is sweetened with chicory root, which I didn't even know was a sweetener. So again, from a dietary perspective, still calories, still sugar, but for me, these are products that are white sugar adjacent, that doesn't trigger my sugar addiction. And I don't live in Santa Cruz, so I don't need to negotiate these foods any more than once or twice a year. Right, so once or twice a year, I'm not so worried about it. If it was my corner store, I would definitely have to have some self-control rules in place. We would definitely need some rules of engagement. But since I'm only there once or twice a year, I'm not so worried about it. So, back to the trip to Santa Cruz. it's a trip that had been planned months in advance. My husband was required to attend a business-related meeting there that was going to start on Monday and Tuesday. So we would have our hotel room provided for us Sunday night and Monday night. And they gave him the option of self-paying for Friday night and Saturday night. And the hotel that we were staying at, it's the Dream Inn in Santa Cruz, and it's right on the beach. And every single room has a balcony right on the beach. So my husband months ago said, hey, I said yes for us going for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because it would be great for us. I would love to have a few days on the beach together, which sounded fantastic at the time. Even though I have travel anxiety, Santa Cruz is easier because it's only 2 hours away. We're driving. So I said yes, it sounded great. I love the water. I've been telling Wes, I really need to go to the beach. I really need to clear off, because there's nothing better than Mother Ocean and all of that salt air to rebalance and clear our energy fields. So I said yes months ago, not knowing how awful things were going to get in the world and how deeply I would be impacted by it. Like it's just been a lot. I don't want to go into too much of all of it, but I have not found it easy to be in the world. So I really didn't want to go. By the time this trip came about, I didn't want to go. I was too sad. I was so sad, and I was grieving deeply. But I knew we had to go, and I knew Wes needed it too. It wasn't just about me. And so we went down on Friday, and the ocean started doing what the ocean does, and I just allowed myself to be very present with my sadness. Because I think I'd been trying to sort of hold back my sadness because I still had life. You know, life still needed me to show up for it. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about what's going on in the world. And she said, I don't understand how people are walking around like they're okay and life is normal. And I said, honey, they're not okay. I mean, they might be, but most of the people I know are feeling deeply. But the thing is that we still need to show up for life. You know, people are doctors and nurses and mothers and fathers, and they coach soccer practice, and they have to get dinner on the table, and they have to walk their dogs, and life still needs us to show up. And so there's the inner world, and then there's the outer world that requires us. And I think what we're seeing right now is a lot of people walking around in the physical world, doing all the things they have to do, but their inner world is probably going through a lot. So when we got to the beach, when we got to our hotel room, I just knew I didn't need to do anything. Wes wasn't going to require anything of me. So we got our food because, you know, Kummerspeck and food. And we did get bread, 2 different kinds of bread, including the cinnamon raisin bread and some sourdough. And I got muffins. And we got pizza from Whole Foods. And I did get some salad, lest you get concerned that I am not looking out for my nutritional needs. I did have some salad and an apple, but it was mostly carbs. And then Saturday, I just sat on the balcony and watched life, and that's what we reflected to you in the last episode. And I got to just be still just got to be in the slow energy and the repetitive motion of the waves of the ocean. And I just got to be and observe. And at least once a day, we went down to the beach and we walked at the ocean's edge, put our feet in the water. And the stillness and the companionship of the ocean and the activity on the beach was really good medicine for me. You know, a few days before we left, Wes had some coworkers who he took out for dinner, and then he invited them back because he had something to show. He had something they wanted to see that was in our garage. And Wes had invited me to join them for dinner. And then he told me he was going to bring them back to the house. And I said, I would love to be that person for you who can go and have dinner with you and be social and lovely. But I'm not there right now. I can't do it. I can't. I'm so sorry. And please don't bring them into the house. Please don't ask me to meet them. Because I could feel that the gap, the expanse between where I was in that moment and who I would have to be to smile and say, it's so nice to meet you. That's great. Wes has told me so much about you. And to show up in any kind of appropriately social interaction felt absolutely impossible for me. So that's the place I was in when we got to Santa Cruz. So just sitting in communion with the ocean and the beach for 2 days helped me return back to me. But I will add that I had anticipated that I would work from the hotel room on Monday and Tuesday when Wes was in his meetings. And I woke up Monday morning, like ready to pull it together, right? Bring it on, angels, let's go. And I wound up feeling so sick. And I really had to attune to the fact that I was not in a place to be able to show up and hold sacred space for others. I was still in my process of whatever this was. So I had to cancel everything, and if you've worked with me for a long time, you will know how rare that is, that I cancel anything. But I canceled everything for Monday and Tuesday. And then we came home Tuesday afternoon, and on Wednesday I was able to come back, and I facilitated sessions on Wednesday and Thursday. And so I feel like I've been able to be back in the world, and I also can very easily get overwhelmed. I use the accounting software QuickBooks, and they are trying to migrate everybody from a desktop version to an online version, which I am not happy about. And I made the leap because they've made it almost impossible not to. And this little function that I have been doing since 2006 in the desktop software, I cannot figure out how to do online. And I spent 4 hours going through the various people at the various call centers for QuickBooks, continuing to get unsatisfactory answers. And you know, at call centers, when they repeat you back to you and then they ask you 5 different ways the same question, but they're not synthesizing the conversation. I was not the best version of me, for sure. And finally, last night, I said to this woman, who I'm sure is very lovely, I said, I'm going to need to stop this conversation and try for another day, because if we keep going, I'm not going to be nice to you. And I don't want to not be nice to you. So I'm going to need to go. She said, I understand. Thank you. I said, okay. You have a good day. I'm going to go now. It was hard. It took so much self-control. And I still don't have my answer, but I just put the angels to work on it. I was like, you guys figure this out. I will come back to it Monday morning, and we'll see how we do. So in addition to the food part, I am still heavily participating in the whole TikTok shopping for crystals from lovely people in China. I was actually just doing this before I recorded this episode. I was awake at 3 a.m. and Wes was sound asleep, so I surreptitiously picked up my phone and put in my earbuds. And I found a lovely woman selling crystals in China. And my present obsession is what they call, or we call the whole, crystal TikTok shopping aficionados, we call baby hearts, which are these tiny little crystal hearts in all of these various different materials. And I love them. They're adorable. In one place where I go for them, they have sold out, but they have these unclaimed baskets, so every once in a while, the host will find a little bag that's $5 or $8, and they'll hold them for me. They did, 2 different hosts did that for me last week. They're like, Laurel, I found baby hearts. And I'll say, claim, send them to me. So I'm obsessed with these baby hearts. And I just bought some more. The other store that I found at 3 a.m., right before I came here to talk to you, had more baby hearts. 2 for $1. They're 2 for $1. And I have told you my rule of anything that's less than $20, I don't have to really think about. So, guess how many baby hearts I bought? $20 worth. Of course I did. But then I found out that if you spend $30, you get free shipping, and shipping is $4. So of course I had to spend $30, right? Of course I had to spend $30. And so I got some baby stars. Yay. A few more baby hearts. So what am I doing with all of these baby hearts, you might wonder? Well, let me tell you. I'm so glad you asked. I'm still not completely sure of their destiny, their long-term destiny. But for right now, I have this really beautiful ceramic bowl. There used to be, well, there probably still is, a ceramics studio in West Hollywood on Melrose. And once a year, they would have a parking lot sale where their students would sell their pottery. Very inexpensively, I might add. So I used to go every year and buy bowls. I love pottery bowls. So this is a lovely pottery bowl. And if you ever attended one of my angel circles in Santa Monica, you might remember this bowl, because this was the bowl that I used for the donations, the love donations, for my angel circle. So it now sits on my desk, and it is filled with baby hearts, and hearts that are a little bit bigger, and some crystal chips, and a stone that says believe on it. I also bought a bunch of those yesterday. Stones with words. What's better than that? Like, I feel about baby hearts and stones with words the way I feel about cinnamon raisin sourdough bread. Like, they're just delicious. So if Kummerspeck is grief bacon, then this would be a bowl of grief hearts. But not grief hearts. I don't want to bathe them in that energy. I just mean these are comfort hearts. These are hearts that comfort me. So one of the things I love so much about having these in the bowl on my desk is I look into the bowl and they're all so different. It's a bowl of hearts, and each heart is different than the one next to it. They're not uniform. They're not made of the same material. And I think that this bowl represents us, right? Like each one of us is different, and some of the stones have flaws. Because don't we all? There's this one stone, one heart I'm holding right now, and it is made of some kind of agate, and it is black and white. And there's this little rough patch on the side that some might call a flaw, but you know what the rough patch is actually called when they look at things like this on Crystal TikTok? Druzy. Oh, there's druzy there. Druzy is a great thing. Druzy means there's some added crystallization. And so in this moment, I declare that our rough patches are perhaps where the druzy is created. The extra beautiful crystals that we embody energetically. Okay, I'm going to find another heart to tell you about. There's another heart here that is also some form of agate. And there's a third of it is a darker brown material. And then the 2/3 of it is this beautiful translucent amethyst. So I think this must be amethyst and agate. Just beautiful. Again, the part with the agate is a little bit rougher than the part with the amethyst. Again, it's not uniform, neither are we. We don't have to be perfect, but we're all sort of in the bowl of humanity together. Is this getting too deep for a sleep podcast? So I just reached into the bowl and closed my eyes. So this last one, or maybe not, maybe I'll tell you about more of my little baby hearts. This one is almost all black with a little bitty white tip, which is just so beautiful and precious. So I love having my bowl of hearts on my desk. Oh, I will share with you one more piece. Oh, I think this is the one I already described to you. No, I don't think I did. So this one, one side of it is white and the other side is black. And there is some druzy. The little rough patch of crystals called druzy. See, now you know that. And this one, there's I think they call this orca agate. Orca, like the killer whale, orca. And things that are orca agate, it's this beautiful, smooth transition between the black and the white. And of course, you know me, since everything is food related, it reminds me of a black and white cookie. If you know, you know the joys of a black and white cookie, which I don't eat anymore because I don't eat sugar. But this particular little baby heart is the baby heart equivalent of a black and white cookie. Like, what's better than that? Especially because I can't eat sugar. I have a baby heart that represents the love that this beautiful little baby heart represents. A beloved Jewish deli food. Hello, Canters. Do you know Canter's? Have you ever been to Canter's? Canter's is a phenomenal Jewish deli in Los Angeles on Fairfax, where my cousin Susie and I have had many a meal. Like, if we were going to go out to have a Kummerspeck meal, like if we were going to go have a meal worthy of sitting Shiva, and we were in Los Angeles, we would absolutely go to Canter's. And if you were wondering what my regular order would be, and I apologize to my vegetarian and vegan friends, I'm just going to keep it real with you. I would get scrambled salami and eggs with the salami well done. If you know, you know, like grilled salami, amazing. Then scrambled with the eggs, even better. And instead of breakfast potatoes, I would ask for French fries well done. And they have the big, thick French fries, so well done, they get crispy. So good. And then I would ask for... I cannot eat this food anymore, just so you know, because I have a tiny tummy. But back in the day, I would also ask for a cheese bagel. Their cheese bagels are out of this world. Toasted with butter and strawberry jam. And that would be my Shiva breakfast or brunch or dinner. Who cares? You can have breakfast any time of the day. And my cousin would be there because, of course, right, Susie? I am imagining we are at Canter's having a delicious meal. And then again, because this is sort of a meal to soothe us while we are grieving, we have to get rugula. Rugula is these little, they're not little, they're actually quite large when you get them from Canter's. They're kind of like a strudel-like cookie. And the ones that I loved were filled with chocolate, of course. And eat 2 of those and you have to sleep for an hour. So that would be my Kummerspeck meal. I don't even know that I'm using that word properly, and I hope that doesn't offend anybody. I'm so sorry. It's the wee hours of the morning, and I have not slept, and I have purchased crystals. And I'm a little off right now. I'm just a little punchy. So Canter's it would be. And listen, because we're doing this astrally, you're invited to join us. Susie, I hope that's okay. We're going to invite some of our friends with us. And you can join us in our grief meal. And you can order whatever you want. Listen, whatever you want. It's on me. They have great matzo ball soup. But I wouldn't, why would I go to Canter's and order soup when I could have salami and eggs and a cheese bagel and rugula? You know, soup just, especially if it's a matzo ball, it takes up space. Oh, you know what else I might get? Now, I was a fan of the French fries, but also I'm a fan of substituting potato pancakes for the French fries. But if this was truly a grief meal, I would order a side of potato pancakes. Yes? Susie, you with me on this one? We're going to need a side of potato pancakes with applesauce and sour cream. For sure. For sure. Like, it's going to be one of those meals where we're going to order everything. What looks good on the menu, order it all. Whatever you want. We'll take leftovers home. It's fine. When you sit Shiva, you have a lot of leftovers. Forever. Everybody gets rugula. Everybody gets mandel bread, which is the Jewish version of a biscotti. And then I will give each of you a handful of baby hearts, baby crystal hearts. I realize baby hearts sounds very dark if I don't include the crystal. Baby crystal hearts, little tiny crystal hearts. I will share some of those with you as well. So this is my conversation about grief. One of the things I said to Wes when we were in Santa Cruz was this profound epiphany that I am in deep grief. Sounds so obvious now. I mean, I knew I was sad and I was grieving, but I said to Wes, I'm in deep, deep grief. And here's the thing about deep grief. And I think any of us, over the age of 40, we have in all likelihood lost someone very meaningful to us. But deep grief, it changes us. not in a bad way, but it just does. It changes us. It's like if you break the handle off your teacup, you can glue it back on and it will still hold up the teacup, but it's different now. And I know the loss of each of my parents changed me in their own ways. I respect the process enough now to know to make space for that. When my mom died, I knew that I would be giving myself a year. I mean, of course, it's longer than that, but that I knew that the year following her passing would be a sacred one, where I would find my way to standing in a world that felt very differently without her. And so I'm now the expression of me that has found my way to living in this world without my mom's physical presence. So that was one of my epiphanies in Santa Cruz, was I am in deep, deep grief. And this grief is a grief that is changing me. Not in a bad way, it just is though. The world is a different world than the one I was relating to in September. It's a profound process to go through. And listen, this is all just inner contemplation. I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to compare it to what the people who are actually experiencing this horrific time are going through. I'm just sharing with you how I'm processing my inner consciousness. So, a lot of what I am seeking to reconcile is how do I hold space for my experience of consciousness and still show up in the world. And that I keep referring back to this invitation from John O'Donohue in his book Walking in Wonder, where he says that each one of us, we live in two worlds, our inner world and the outer world. So we're living through a time where the outer world, something very profound is taking place. And for many of us, it has required that we spend time reconciling our inner world so that we know how to show up in an outer world that is feeling differently than it did 6 weeks ago. And that can happen in life. It happens to us on a personal level, and it can happen to us as a society. So take a deep breath in. And this is why I'm inviting you for a virtual astral date at Canter's Deli, where we will have a grief meal together. And I will share with you some of my tiny crystal hearts. Now, realize we're going to be just doing this in our imaginations because it was almost too much for me to just drive to Santa Cruz. I can't get to LA right now. And I don't really want to eat in a restaurant. I haven't eaten in a restaurant in a long time because of this thing called, oh, by the way, COVID. But that's a whole other conversation. I'm just saying, in the astral realm, all things are possible. So, I love you very much and thank you for allowing me the blessing of spending time with you, keeping you company, and hopefully being a kind and loving, soothing friend, a voice in your life that supports you and cheers you on and shares really good stuff with you, like cinnamon raisin toast and tiny crystal hearts. So I love you. Please take good care of yourself and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.